Okay, so essentially, I do have the custom hyper controller ordered. I ordered this approximately 3-4 weeks ago. Um, the main reason why I did in fact order a controller from Hyper was because I liked their new back paddle design that came out in February. Um, and I'm really been into controllers that basically have had new and uh, differing back paddles. Um, so to kind of summarize, kind of what I already have here, here's my whole group of controllers that I really used today, on and off. I'll kind of start with my original. This is what I originally had. This is my um, original controller. I modified it, as you can see here. I modified it with trigger stops. You can see here, I modified it with trigger stops. In game, I play tactical, so I don't use to shoot. I play mainly Call of Duty, so I don't shoot with my triggers. I use my bumpers. This controller is actually very nice, even though it has no modifications. I just use a control freak on it with these paddles that are, I forgot the name of them. I'll be honest. They're from some company. Either though, most people know what they are. They're these two paddles. It's actually interesting enough with where they're placed. They're very comfortable. They're not perfectly ideal, but they're pretty nice for what they are. So I've been using this recently, even though it's got no mechanical mouse button switches. It's still pretty nice controller to use um, just because of these paddles, these two add-on paddles. I use one for jump and one for crouch. This is the Xbox Elite Series 2. I just got this controller. I'm actually surprised. I haven't had any issues with it yet regarding any QC problems. It's definitely a different controller. These are obviously all PS4 or PS4 and PS5 controllers. This is an Xbox controller. So there's a lot more differences, obviously, with the design, the shape of it. It's a lot heavier with all the components in it. There's a little bit more features that it has. I really do like the back bumpers on these. The issue that I ran into with these on the Elite series is the problem I had was that it doesn't feel comfortable when I use the back two top bumpers. You can see here, I use I use the controller specifically with the bottom two bumpers. Um, and it feels just way more comfortable, way more smooth above the top part. That's why I actually ordered these boys to see if they would make any difference. I also got new um, SCUF thumbsticks that I'm going to be trying out after this as well. Um, Honestly, though, I really do like this Elite series. I like the thumbs. I like the paddles on the bottom. They're very tactile. It's hard to explain, what's different, what I like more, or what I like more, which ones I like less. I would literally have to put this pretty close to this paddle design. I honestly think the Elite series is probably a little bit better of a paddle design, just because of the way it feels and because it's not actually on the side of the controller, it's on the back of the controller, um, which makes it more comfortable to use over long periods of time compared to this PS4 with the add-on paddles to it. The overall design of the Elite 2 is a little bit weird, though. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the heaviness that it has. The joysticks just feel all right, but they feel so much different compared to, just because the whole joystick module of each one is, you can tell it's just like its own design compared to the PS4, PS5 ones. So it just feels a lot different. It's harder to get used to, but I do like it. I do like using this controller in general. Um, but like I said, there is no mouse clicks. The pull, the mouse lock on it, or the trigger pull lock, is okay. Not a huge fan of it. But in general, I do like the Elite Series, mainly because of the back paddle, the left one. Like I said, for Fortnite, I play Fortnite and Call of Duty. The back left one I use for editing, and the back right I use for crouch. And then, but mainly for Call of Duty, I do jump and dive. So it fits really well. The way I hold the controller is basically like this. I grip these top bumpers when I shoot. I shoot with these top two, and I really wrap my middle finger, and I hit it with the inside of my finger. If you can see here, I hit it with the inside middle part of my finger because my hand is so far up just to get my thumb up here. It honestly feels very comfortable. This side's a little different. My right hand is a little different because I don't need to go as far. I don't need to wrap my hand as much because of this joystick being on the bottom rather than the top. But it does feel kind of nice having the orientation like this. That's why I do like the Elite Series too. But like I said, it does have its flaws not having the 4 paddles because it is a little bit annoying with the stock paddle. So we'll see if that changes with these, and we'll see if these SCUF thumbsticks are any good as well. But yeah, moving on to the next controller, I have the SCUF Reflex Pro FPS. And this controller, you know, I got this about about 5 months ago, 4 months ago, and it's honestly a beautiful controller. Other than the fact that it creaks and it's so easy to take apart, and it's very, the build quality seems good, but it honestly like is so crackly and fidgety. Like if I just move the controller, it just feels like it's light, but it feels like cheap almost, even though it's not a cheap controller. Like that's what I've noticed. But the paddle design on the back is something that I think a lot of people really like. And what's cool about the paddle design and the way I hold the controller is this is how I hold the controller, and my middle fingers wrap perfectly onto the outside of these bumpers. So what happens is I can use my middle finger to hit these perfectly, and it's really about how well you can hit the bumpers like in succession and still have it be comfortable. So like I said, these middle buttons I can hit so well, and it just feels so comfortable. And then I just move my finger over to hit the other ones, which feels all right. Like I said, you can't hit all 4 at the same time, but that's not a real big deal for me. I didn't get, obviously it doesn't come with the mouse click face buttons, but it does come with the mouse click trigger and bumpers. I will say there is an issue with the trigger, the right trigger. If you notice, I don't know if you can see on video, but it squeaks really bad. And I've only had this controller for like a few months now, and it's already really squeaky on the right bumper, and you can tell. And it feels weird when I'm you know hitting it in succession. I can feel the squeakiness when I hit it. And I know I've seen people say that they've had issues with their SCUF. I love the design of the controller. I think the paddles are very cool and innovative. However, I don't feel like, as nice as the paddles are, it's like I constantly find myself like not using it as often, and that's primarily just because like I feel like just because of the build quality of the controller overall, it just doesn't feel like a quality controller, like just because of the creakiness. And I wish that could change. And I think it's because of this faceplate, the way this faceplate comes off. Because if you take this faceplate off like this is how it comes off. If you can see here, see how it comes off like this. Like the main squeakiness comes from this front faceplate. But like I said, you can't even use it without the faceplate because of the glide rings being on this part. So you need to have this faceplate on. So see how it hooks in like this? You push it in, and what's so crazy about it is it's the squeaking is so bad that you can actually push. This is actually a button here. You think that it's not a button, but it feels like a button press when I push in on this. You can see it. Ready? Look at it. It sounds like a button press. But yeah, so that's why I don't use this controller. I think they did a good job on it, but I feel like it needs better quality control. This is the Evil controller. This is a fun one I find myself using very often. One thing I wish I did do, however, is put grips on this. The grips are very good on this SCUF controller. They did like people say, they do a really good job on their rubber and their thumbsticks. The rubber on these, the grips on these are fucking awesome. I wish I put some grips on this Evil. I don't know if they offered it. I can't remember. I might have just forgot to add it. I do have the increased thumbstick tension on this guy on the right. Like I said, I don't have thumbstick tension increased on this guy. It's a stock DualShock controller. This I have on set on normal. I have this set on normal tension just because that's the way I like it. This has no extra tension. Obviously, it's a SCUF controller. You can't add the tension. This Evil controller has extra tension on it. No mechanical face buttons. I got mechanical trigger face buttons on the triggers and bumpers. And then I got 4 back buttons. And like I said, with the Evil back buttons, they fit so nice to the hand. And they press so easily and so tactile. They're very tactile, and they look very nice. They feel very nice, and I always find myself using this controller kind of out of these main 5. Like I find myself using this one a lot more, and that's just because of the way it feels in the hand and the way that the buttons, the way that the buttons feel when I'm actually using it. So I find myself using this a lot. I got this a lot recently. And it also looks very appealing, so that's the cool part about it. And then getting onto the last controller here, like I said, but these aren't paddles, so that's the thing that's kind of the downside of this controller. Although it has buttons and the buttons are very good, that's what I've been using, but they're not paddles, so it definitely is a little bit different. Then moving on to this bad boy here, this is a NAGASHOCK dual shock controller, a NAGASHOCK DualShock. It's got the mouse click buttons on all 4 bumpers, triggers, no mouse click face buttons. It's got increased tension, 160 grams on the right stick, and then it's got the 4 buttons on here. Now these buttons are a lot bigger than these Evil controller buttons are, and they are very nice, but they are much louder if you haven't noticed. You can hear them. They're very, very loud. They're very responsive and they feel good. However, the NAGASHOCK design is a lot different. The DualShock is obviously not a PS5 controller, so I'm not a huge, gigantic fan of the PS4 design. I do like it, and I find myself coming back to it, which is why I got this PS4 custom controller, and I can always come back to using it. But like I said, it's not my favorite just because it's a DualShock. But I do like the controller overall. And I think down the road I'd find myself using this a little bit more. But yeah, so that's a summary of all the controllers I have. I've spent 13 minutes talking about it already. But like I said, let's get on to the unboxing on this new HYPR controller. And let's see how it looks. So this is what it looks like. I think I did a really good job on customizing this, and we'll see if they added anything else besides. I don't think there's anything else in here. I really don't think there is, but yeah. So this is the back paddle design on the HYPR controller. This mat feels so good on the hands already. Like I haven't even pressed any buttons yet. And the mat compared to this Evil controller is just, oh my god, the mat feels so good on the hands that I feel like I don't even need I feel like I don't need any performance grips because of this. And it also feels this controller feels, these buttons feel so different. What's crazy is I have max right trigger, stock left trigger. This tension on the right stick is by far the most tension. This thing is so strong. It takes so much force and it's hard to press. This is by far the most tension I've ever had on any stick compared to this one. This one's supposed to be 200 grams. This one's supposed to be roughly the same amount. But if you compare these two, the Evil compared to the Hyper, this controller has so much more. This feels like twice as much tension as this one does. And I'm not even joking. Like, this feels like it has 400 grams of tension, and I can't even lie. So I really didn't expect that, but we're gonna have to work with that and see how it goes. As far as the button clicks are concerned, they feel similar to these ones, and they feel similar to the SCUF, but they have a tactility to them where when you get that button press, it has like a bump, and it feels good. It does not feel like either one of these. This one has a very smooth transition on the mouse click. This one has a very smooth transition as well, but this one has a bump when you get to, and it takes more force as well to hit, and it feels very good on all four of these. But yeah, like I said, this is my first time using this, looking at this, and I haven't even hit any of these back bumpers yet, but hitting them now, it does take some force to hit these back bumpers, but I gotta say they did a really, really good job. I saw some comments, people thinking, oh, okay, maybe they went too high on this whole paddle design. And honestly, after holding this, so how I normally hold a controller is I hold it like this, and I use my middle finger and my ring finger, and the way that I hold it, I can literally cover every single button. I can cover every single button on the back easily if I want to do all four of them, which is awesome. And the tactility on these is very hard. It takes a lot of effort to hit these back buttons, but they feel very, very, very tactile. Like way more than any other paddle I've ever felt. You get a lot of tactility, even from these bumpers. You get a very minimal response back on these SCUF back bumpers. But these back bumpers, you get a huge amount of response back. You can hear it just the way... You can hear it just how it sounds with the response. Like I said, when you can hold all four, which is good. I don't think it should be really any lower. But what's good is I can actually only use two if I want. The way I can hold it is I can actually hold it just like this. And that allows me to only use two out of the four and get a little bit better of a position. But I just think that this controller, they did an immaculate job. I'll be straight up honest with you. These guys have the worst customer service I have ever seen in my entire life. I have bought from multiple controller companies. I have never seen a worse company with worse customer service. I tried messaging them on 8 different occasions, never got a response back one time. Luckily, they did build the controller fucking perfect. They are very, very, very good at building controllers. And this new design, I really can't stress enough, is fucking insane. And I honestly, there's one other video that shows the back button design, the back rear button design, which is why I'm showing it here right now. Just to fill you in on everything. But this back button design is fucking awesome. The way they made this, it came out in February and nobody has bought in this controller yet. And I'm telling you right now, I think people are going to start buying more of these controllers, and you're going to see more reviews and more people using them, because the back button design is probably the best I've ever used so far. I haven't spent time with it. Like I said, this is an unboxing video, but I haven't but I really haven't I haven't spent a lot of time with it, but I think these are going to be my favorite paddles out of this entire collection by far. These paddles already feel better. They feel better than these. They feel better than these buttons. They feel better than these. It takes way less effort to hit all these paddles here. These take a substantial more amount of effort to hit than a normal paddle. but the tactility that you get on the feedback of the button press is so much greater than all these other buttons, and that's what you pay for in general. If you want to have a button that's harder to hit, or the in order to get more feedback on a button, it's going to be a little bit harder to press in general. That's just how it works. So, like I said, I can't wait to start using this. I think the design of the controller is absolutely gorgeous. I love the design. I don't think I would have switched this at all. I think throwing a control freak on here would be a really cool idea. Let me take this off this one. But taking this off of here and putting this on here, I think this is like a perfect amount of resistance, having this control freak on here and having this set up like this, I think is really will really work out in the long run. Like I said, with Call of Duty and with Fortnite, I think I'll have a lot of fun playing with this thing. And, you know, I think a lot of people will be buying these in the future. So I'm going to end it there. 21 minutes of discussing my paddle criteria and the paddles that I think are, you know, useful and nice across different controller companies. There's a few controllers I haven't reviewed, like the AIM controller I haven't reviewed. I have not reviewed Hex Gaming controllers. I don't like their design, just the way they look. The AIM Paddle V3, I'm not sure if that actually is a very good paddle design. It seems like it's not going to fit very well, so I haven't gotten another one of those. But I was curious about buying an Instinct Xbox controller from SCUF, just because I do really like the Reflex FPS. I feel like this is a very good controller. I would buy another one of these controllers if I had the opportunity, just because I just think the QC and the squeakiness is a problem on this controller. I don't know if it's like that for all the controllers, but like I said, this is probably by far the best controller I've bought out of everything here just by looking at it so far. The mat feels so good on the touch, and it makes it not even need any performance grips. Originally, I was going to add some Pro Sticks, but I'm kind of glad I didn't. But either way, yeah, I'm kind of ready to get this thing going. So hope you guys enjoy this video, and hope you find your next favorite controller, and I hope you guys have a good day. So yeah.